I laughed. Right? It didn't hurt, but it was her punch. Right? And she got really mad. How dare you abandon us and blah, 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 blah. I was like, what? We went and got on line for the ride. You were with other people. You weren't in any risk or any danger. You know, and later one of the girls came over and said, you know, she was perfectly fine until she saw you, and she just used that as an excuse. And I was like, yeah, no shit. Right? But at that moment, it was a flip. 1 second, 0 to 60. And it was to show her power, her authority. Now, because the punch didn't hurt, and because of my sense of humor, I didn't think anything of that. I didn't see it at that time as an indicator that that's how women behave in their heads. They will flip on a dime and come after you. Right? The other time, went to pick my brother up. He flew into San Francisco International. I think he was coming back from Korea at that time. He's U.S. Army. You know, little family fun there. I'm Marine, he's Army. He comes back and we're trying to meet him. We're walking through the airport, and there were two flamers. It cracked me up, right? But I was so pissed off because my brother neither gave us a flight number or an airline, right? We had to guess where he's at in SFO, right? It's a huge hub, right? It's a huge Pacific hub like LAX. And he's just coming from Korea, and we had to figure it out, right? And so I was flummoxed. I was irritated. We finally found him, right? And then these two homosexuals, they decided that they were gonna give me the homosexual eye, like, ooh, oh my God, you, hey big boy, right? And they did some of that flaming fag shit, and I just turned around and said, fucking faggots, you know. That was my line. I said to my friend, and she turned around and slapped me across the face instantly. Open hand across the face. Now that one really did piss me off, right? Because it was a few years later, and I'd had enough of that type of ridiculous shit, right? And I felt like I could say that, right? There were a couple of faggots, and they were making an advance on me, and I didn't particularly care for it. But it showed me how women flip like that. So this Japanese guy and his little woman, who he probably thought was the cutest little thing on the planet. Maybe she'd done that to him one other time. Or maybe this was the first time. But it's an indicator, and that's what I want to talk about here. An indicator of how the feminist mind thinks, how it operates, the feeling it has of superiority over you as a man, how they feel completely justified in going off literally the deep end in just the blink of an eye and assuming 100% total power over you, right? I've never seen ever in my life, right, a man do that to a woman, ever, right? Just for no apparent reason, just start screaming and yelling and hitting her in public. Never seen that. Maybe you guys have. But this Japanese guy, he didn't get hit, but he didn't have to. You know, when someone breaks a cultural rule that bad, you can tell, right, that it's enough, that it's more than enough, that it's over the top, crazy. And so the message I have in this video is, until you've seen that for yourself, whether it happens to you or you witness it the way I witnessed that little Japanese girl turning into a vicious Pikachu and coming after that guy, right, and tearing his proverbial face right off. It was incredible. So for all of you older guys, you salt of the world, you've probably seen it from a feminist. For you guys that are married and seen it, I hope you haven't seen it from your own spouse. And if you're in a relationship with a woman and you've seen this before, then you need to realize it's not isolated to just that one girl or just the girl you had. And it's not isolated to just the girl you have. It's inherent in all women today. Because they all believe that they're your equal. And that power they have makes them more than equal because they have girl parts between their legs. Right? Because they've been indoctrinated and told, you have that power. Right? And they know in their heads that if they want, they can make your life absolute living hell on the flick of a switch. They can go from cute and a girl you can't wait to snuggle with to a vicious, dominating, destructive bitch. And I don't think people that haven't seen this can understand it. See, that's the outward manifestation of the inner thinking mind of a feminist. Now, even if she's never done that to you, and even if a woman comes to you after 15 or 20 or 25 years and says, we're through, we're getting a divorce, that switch finally flipped. And she may not manifest it with a physical assault. And she may not manifest it with a verbal assault. But she can. And it's been proven time and time and time again that they will manifest that in an action that results in your destruction. That is divorce and you losing your assets, your wealth, your social life, your professional life, your family, your kids, your retirement, your income, your future income. Flick of a switch. That's how it works. And when they decide, oh, it's planned. You know what happened to me in the airport? Was she planning on slapping my face that day, my ex-wife? I don't know. I doubt it. You know, maybe she was under all kinds of pressure from trying to find, what plane my brother was on. At the fun park, was that planned out? Did she say, hey, sometime during this trip, I'm going to go off on him and embarrass him to death and show him who the boss is and show all of his friends who the boss is and all of the girls. I'm going to show them who's the boss in this relationship. Is that what she was thinking? Or was it just an opportunity? Was it a test to see if she could get away with it? I think it was all those things. I think she needed to show everybody. She needed to demonstrate her power, right? She needed to see what I would put up with. Right? And she needed to see if she could get away with it. And the answer to all those questions was yes. Yes, she had the power. Yes, she could get away with it. Yes, there was an opportunity. Now, it's no big deal when you're just dating, or you don't think it's a big deal. It's no big deal when you're engaged. It's not even really a big deal when you're married. Except it's a big deal when they decide to unmarry you. And that's where the rubber meets the road for men. That's why men are going their own way. Because we've realized that it's all flowers and daisies, rainbows and unicorns, hugs and kisses, right? Sandwiches and BJs. That's what it is. Up until the point when they flip that switch and they decide it's time to take control for the last time and file divorce papers. I'm interested in what you guys think. I'm interested in your stories. And as I've said in the past, I now have so many stories I can't keep up. But putting your stories in the comments section helps other men. Because it's not just me. I'm not the only guy. This isn't the what the fuck happened, why are you so destroyed show on John's channel. Right? Mgtow is Freedom is about not just my story. It's about every man's story. It's not just the potential bad things that can happen to John. It's the potential bad things that can happen to every last one of you guys. And it doesn't matter what generation you're from. It can happen, and it has. But in today's generation, right, today, in our time, it is that much more in the open. The abuse of power by women over men is that much more flagrant. It's that much more flagrant. And this cigar, by the way, is very fragrant. Once again, plug for Byron Cigars. As good as any Arturo Fuente I've had, including the Hemingway. Delicious cigar. Superb smoke. Thank you very much, Richard, for all those that you purchased for me. But that Japanese guy there in Hawaii, what he had to put up with and what that girl did, reaffirmed to me that it's not just the West. And it's not just my generation, it's every generation of woman. And they're becoming more and more brazen. More and more brazen. I think one of the things I was wondering is, was she going to go ninja on him? Right? Was she going to do a jumping spider kick and climb all over him and start wailing on him? And my guess is she probably could have. My other guess is he probably would have done nothing about it. Because their culture is quite a bit different, right? But the fact that it happened, to see that happen to a Japanese man, broke my heart. Because I've always had a great deal of respect for the Japanese culture, for the way men behave and women behave, the way they speak and act, their body language. It's all very proper. It's all very controlled and measured. And to see this woman lose it in public, right? She embarrassed her entire nation. But see, she didn't care about embarrassing herself or her man, embarrassing everyone that stood there and watched and listened. You know, none of that mattered. It didn't matter that she was embarrassing her nation, her culture, and everyone. The only thing that mattered at that point in time was how she thought, how she felt, what was in her little head and her little heart, and what she needed to do. And everything else was flushed away, absolutely flushed down the toilet, because she had the power. So when I say women have no morality, I mean it. It's all about them.